if you want to introduce yourself, and then we can get started.
Perfect. Thank you, Kirsty. So welcome to my presentation on my career in finance. My name is Olivia Wood and I'm the management accountant at the OGTC. To get things started off, I would quite like to hear from you and a few words on what you picture when you think of an accountant and see how they compare to what my friends and family think. So if you could please go to thementee.com and enter the code on the screen and put in a few words on what you think of when you picture an accountant. I'm not sure if it's working. Oh, no, it is. Here we go. Okay, I don't know if it's frozen or, but oh no, we've got more. Perfect, so there are quite a few there that I thought there might be. So let's move on now and have a few discussions. So these were some of the words that my friends and family gave me on what they thought of when they thought of an accountant. It crops up time and time again that people think of maths and assume that every accountant is a maths genius. Whilst a sound knowledge of maths is essential, this doesn't really go much further than using quick additions and subtractions, as we use spreadsheets for everything else. Personally, I don't even use a calculator, as Excel is always there for me. If you are thinking that all accountants love spreadsheets, then I can confirm that you are spot on with that assumption. Spreadsheets have so many functions and formulas, tables, and graphs. They allow us to do what we actually love, organising data in ways that allow us to identify patterns and trends. Numbers alone only tell part of the story. So when you look at the finances of a business, we need to compare them to past information, budgets, and what is happening in industry to help us make sense of the number and decide if it is good, bad, or if it's in line with what we expected. When we think about profits, to say we made 500,000 sounds good, doesn't it? However, what did we make last month, last year? What did we budget to make? How does this compare to where we thought we would be and what industry is doing? Tax is another area where people often think of when they think about an accountant. However, very few people that study accounting actually go on to become tax accountants. It is a very niche area. Tight with money. Whilst this is almost true, I would say that accountants, in their nature of looking after business cash, are always on the lookout for the best value. Do you need it? Does it pay back? By way of an example, if you enjoy a fancy coffee on the way to work, it could be cheaper to buy a good coffee machine rather than spend £3 a day in the local coffee shop. Sensible with money, not cheap. Boring, that's another one that comes up. So that kind of depends on what you think is boring. I enjoy doing puzzles and I enjoy doing sports as they're challenging and rewarding. Most accountants that I have worked with enjoy a broad range of hobbies, as does my team at the OGTC. From baking, bungee jumping, jogging, to even being in a rock band. We're also often accused of not interacting with people. However, it would be impossible to gather the data we require if we did in fact just sit in a dusty office alone all day. Accountants are often the link between departments, as well as management, as we need to be kept up to date with what is happening in the business. We also need to keep up with what is happening with legislation and what could affect trade, such as Brexit and tax implications, or even just how we report on transactions. Being an accountant means looking at data, both internal and external, current and historic, to discover trends and patterns that enable us to make sound business decisions. We strive on things being right and in acting professionally to comply with accounting standards, law, and internal procedures, as well as our own ethics. When I was at school, I had a few very different ideas of what I may like to be. I always wanted to help people, so I often thought about a career in nursing. Then, when I was away to pick my standard grades, the school arranged trips to universities in Aberdeen. I chose to view the health and science facilities at RGU, and I was totally blown away by how amazing it was, and coupled with an Army Open Day, I decided that I wanted to be a nurse in the Army. I had also pondered about working in an office, or as a teacher, or even as a hairdresser. So you may be wondering how this took me to a career in finance. Well, I grew up in Keith, a small town north of Aberdeen, with not a lot there other than a few fields and farms. I didn't think life existed outside of the country, and although I had ideas of a career, I wasn't sure what was actually available for me. I didn't really think that university was something I would be able to attend, as I thought that was more for people who came from a family of doctors or solicitors. Nevertheless, when I chose my standard grade subjects, I knew I needed to take science subjects to get into the nursing course at RGU. So I did those along with administration, as I thoroughly enjoyed using Microsoft applications. I later veered away from the idea of nursing, and thankfully I knew I had the entry passes required. So I went to take my hires. I focused on accountancy, administration, business studies, English and maths. I also loved art, but sadly I decided that I wasn't going to pursue a career in that field, so I dropped it. Leaving school, I still wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I had tried work experience as a teacher. I tried several times to get into hairdressing, but I was absolutely awful at it. I still wasn't ready to move away from home, so I tried working in a care home as it was quite close to nursing, but I found that wasn't for me. I decided that since I enjoyed business-related subjects at school, I would enrol in an HNC at Murray College, doing business management. The course was great, but I quickly realised how much I enjoyed accounting. And with a friend making the big move to Aberdeen, I applied to do my HND not in business management, but in accounting and finance instead. I then discovered that having completed my HND, I could apply to university, so I went straight into third year and completed my bachelor's, followed by my honours degree. After university, I was a bit lost. Getting a job was a lot tougher than I had expected, as everyone wanted experience, so I took full-time employment in a bar, where I worked my way up to a supervisor. I was still applying for roles in finance, and finally got hired by Hydrosun as an accounts assistant almost a year after graduating from university. Hydrosun, if you don't know, are a service company for the oil and gas industry, delivering integrated fluid transfer solutions. In short, they supply a vast range of pipes and fittings. My work ethic and determination to do the job well was noticed by my boss, so when an opportunity for a maternity cover for assistant management accountant came up, I was encouraged to apply. I got this role, and when the maternity period was over, they decided that they actually needed 2 of us to do the job. I began studying for my chartered with ACCA while still at Hydrosun, but I felt that I wanted more experience and that I had learned all that I could there, so I made the move to Intermur, which proved to be a great decision, as I was involved in not 1, but 2 mergers, as well as completing my chartered qualification. Intermur, as the name suggests, is a mooring company. They supply rentals of anchors and chains to moor rigs to the seabed, as well as having a marine, survey, engineering and decommissioning department, a one-stop shop to service the needs of the oil industry. Due to there being a well-established team there was sadly no room for me to progress further in the company, and I was very happy to be offered the position with the OGTC. Now, it may seem that my road was quite simple, but that couldn't be further from the truth. When I was at school, my dad sadly passed away during my standard grade exams, which had a pretty big impact on me, and my grades suffered. I found school really difficult, and when I took my higher level exams, I didn't get the grades that I had expected, and I guess I was just a little bit lost and still grieving. When I was leaving school and discussing my options, my administration teacher told me that he felt I should take a few years away from education. At the time, I thought he was being a little bit mean and rude, but I later realised that he believed in me and he knew that I just needed to take the time to grieve and start believing in myself. This leads me on to the advice that I would give to my younger self and indeed to you. You must take the time to listen to the advice that you are given and consider the meaning of it and why you are receiving the advice. Everybody will leave school wishing that they had stuck in more, and whilst it is important to do your best, just because you don't get the grades you want at school, this does not mean that you can't get them afterwards. Colleges offer a range of courses, and universities have different routes of access, like the 2+2 that I took. Don't be afraid to ask for help. We are all trying to get somewhere, and when people work together, you can support each other and achieve your goals quicker. Don't build your own barriers. I was very stubborn and quite defensive if someone told me I had done something wrong. But rather than dismiss things, it is far more constructive to learn from it. If you put your heart and soul into something, then you can do it. Believe in yourself, and if you can't do that, look at how much other people believe in you, because they cannot all be wrong. And lastly, gain as much experience as you can. It can be tough to get a foot in the door at any company, but as soon as you start building experience, you become attractive to employers. When I was younger, I worked in a laundry, a hotel, and in a pub. None of these were the field that I wanted to work in, but because I had worked up to senior positions, I was proving that I was a hard worker and that I could be responsible and trusted. When I first started my career, I assumed that my colleagues' opinions were the ones that counted, and because I was quite young and inexperienced. But whilst you should always respect other people's views, you need to value your own opinions too. Often being new means that you notice things that other people don't, so you have to have the confidence in what you observe. If something seems wrong, then discuss it. Everyone has a say, everyone is important in a team. Learning works both ways. We all have different skills and different perspectives, hence the saying, 2 heads work better than 1. Learning does not end when you finish education. We always have more to learn, and what you learn on the job and from your colleagues is invaluable. Looking on to success. Success is different for everyone, yet we do tend to see someone in a business suit or driving a fancy car and we think, wow, they must be successful. A successful career to me, though, is one where I wake up in the morning and look forward to going to work, having great colleagues and having the opportunity to learn new things. I've had some great opportunities, such as working abroad in Singapore, given the support to complete my ACCA, and I'm encouraged to attend meetings and webinars to learn about different topics. Not only related to finance, but to look at the wider industry. What is happening in oil and gas? What does it take to be a great leader? All fascinating areas that help me be a better accountant. I have even had the opportunity to be part of the Lego League team, helping primary school children learn about engineering. Success is not measured by your position, it is measured by what you want. I enjoy my job because every day is different. Yes, there are routine tasks that may not be my favourite, but I'm in my element when I have gathered all of the month-end data, as this is when all the numbers come together and I get to see how we've compared to budget. I get to analyse the data and figure out if there are trends that I can pick out or patterns that we can learn from. It's like a big puzzle. You need to pull in all of the data to make sure you aren't missing anything, and then you can tell the story of what has happened in the month, the quarter, or whatever period you are working on. I get to reconcile things, so matching things off to ensure everything balances and is correct. I'm especially happy to be involved in a company where we help people. We help to grow businesses, to invest in technology to create a better future. It's nice to work somewhere that the goal is not to create an internal profit, but to create a better place for everyone. The energy transition is a major growth industry. It is relatively new, and to ensure the success of this industry, it requires a variety of people's skills and experience in order to deliver. You may wonder how finance fits into this, but finance are definitely a key enabler, as through gathering data, we are able to help management make decisions. Remember, accountants look at more than just numbers. One of the many great things about finance is that every industry requires our skill set. So even as industries evolve, we will always have a place. Even as we move into using more AI and automating areas of our role, we are still a long way off replacing humans. Working in finance allows you to understand more about the industry that you work in. We have a role to play in the success of any business. A key takeaway is that no matter what industry you are in, immerse yourself in the activities of the business to understand the wider purpose. As per my earlier slide, looking at profit, when you're reporting to management, you can't just tell them the values. You need to know why the values are what they are. And the only way to know this is by being involved with every department to understand if it's internal factors or external factors that have influenced the results. I never imagined that being an accountant would allow me to get involved in learning about so many cool and fascinating things. At the OGTC, we have a strong focus on building not only technology and businesses, but on building people. From the staff that work here to offering internships, being involved in STEM, such as the LEGO League, and being mentors to students in secondary school through the Career Ready programme. We also have partnerships with the University of Aberdeen and RGU to establish 2 national research and development centres. The NDC, which is at the University of Aberdeen, has a focus on decommissioning. They have a lot of very exciting tech up there, whereas the NSC at RGU are focused on subsea. As I said, I would never have dreamt that I would have been involved in such exciting topics whilst being an accountant. So thank you very much for listening to my presentation. I will hand you on to Kirsty.
Thank you very much, Olivia. That was really, really good and very insightful. We have some really great questions that have come in. So I'll start with our first question, which was, what made you keep on trying to get a job in finance? As you said, you took the year whilst working at the bar to get the job in finance. So what made you keep trying and applying for those roles?
I think it's really important that you stay determined and you keep looking for opportunities. Just because you haven't found the right one yet doesn't mean that it's not out there. And as I previously said, if you're in employment, then that becomes a much more attractive thing to future employers. So regardless of the fact that working in a bar had nothing to do with accounting, it's still important to get that experience and to show that you're willing and ready to take on new challenges.
Yeah, absolutely. Brilliant. Thank you. So our next question is, what advice would you give someone graduating, trying to find a job in finance? What key qualities do you think they need to have?
I assume this is someone graduating from finance side of things. So I would say that when I first took my role, it was as an accounts assistant. I'd kind of built up an expectation that I would go straight into becoming an assistant accountant, but that is not the case. So get a job in an office, even if it's not in accounts, if it's administration, just build up. Getting that first foot in the door is really the key to your success.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think as well, there's other things like meta skills, which are standard skills, you know, being able to communicate, team working, etc., which are all really good and you can get from various other roles, which really help support just getting a job and, you know, help and benefit your career as well. So we have another question for you, Olivia. Where do you see yourself in 10 years' time? And would you ever consider exploring one of the careers that you debated at the start of your journey?
I think, thankfully, I've found a career that I absolutely love. However, I suppose if I wasn't to continue being an accountant, I would probably quite like to be a teacher. As discussed, I got involved with the LEGO League whilst at the OGTC, and it was really great knowing that you were helping kids to learn a bit more and indeed learn myself, because, well, I didn't really know much about engineering myself. So yeah, helping others is definitely something that appeals to me. But luckily in the current job I have, I'm able to do that as well.
Oh, brilliant. Okay, we have our last question, which is, you talk about the energy transition. Did you have an interest in the energy industry when taking a job at the OGTC?
To be honest, I wouldn't have said it was really on my radar. I'd always worked in oil and gas. But the reason that I took the job at the OGTC was because it seemed like a fantastic emerging industry where we're looking to help people. And since I've been here, the momentum and the movement, and it's really exciting to know that we are helping with the energy transition. So yeah, it's an exciting place to be.
Perfect. Okay. Well, that's all our questions for you, Olivia. So thank you so much again for today's webinar. It was brilliant and it was good to get to know you a little bit better as well. So I hope that everyone has enjoyed today's event. We want these events to help you in your career journey. So please help us by completing the survey, or you can send us an email direct to the email at the bottom. We'd love to hear from you on your ideas and your feedback. What's next? So our next event is in 2 weeks' time. It's actually with myself. I'm going to be doing an event on human resources and my journey to my career. If you want to sign up to that, you can do so by going online to our website. We've also found some other great resources for you, which you can see on the screen here. So if you're looking for any resources on training, you can go to the hub on SDS's World of Work website, where you'll find lots of different free online courses there. You can also see we've got Barclays Life Skills. So this is resources for young people, parents and teachers to help prepare people for the 21st century workplace. And then you'll see we've got oil and gas / energy careers. So if you want to have a look on there, you can go onto Opito's website. You can find them all also by clicking on the QR code, which you see in the top right-hand corner. It will take you to the OGTC website where you'll find links for all of these and books and more courses. So again, thank you very much to everybody for coming to join us, and I hope you all have a great week. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.